What's up, guys? I'm gonna basically just kind of fly around the ship and talk about things. Mostly just what I've done. I thought this would just be a fun video. I'm probably not going to make it public just because I don't really sound good when I talk and I'm kind of awkward. Um, anyways, there's been a lot done since the last public video regarding the Nomadic. Not to mention I work on other things, as you can see over there. But for starters, a lot of the interior is done. A lot of changes to the interior have been made as well. I've gotten some help from a few buddies, mainly Project Titanica. Some of you may know him as Jet. He really helped out with the engine. Basically, I'm just going to go by, kind of explain some things that I've done. So, obviously, for a few things that I don't really talk about, but I did, was, for example, the canvas tarps right here. You can just see in 1911 there's some canvas. In regards to the lights, that was mainly guesswork. I had a photo or two that showed it. Same with the pipes, also guesswork. Still, there's some photos that show it, that show this vent, pipes, and what look like wires, so I tried to implement those to the best of my ability on the ceiling. Same with the lack of benches on the exterior. Just really, I can't see benches anywhere at any main point in her career other than right here on these inner parts for the walls. Same thing with the fact that the second class area doesn't have a dark mass trim, unlike the front. I still don't really know why it's like that. It's just what I've seen. I think I got into a discussion with it with a few people. So yeah, let me just, work my way around and explain what I did. Obviously, you have your fleur-de-lis tiles, which it does not specifically mention on deck plans that this is fleur-de-lis. It does say that it is linoleum, or not, fuck, yeah. That it is of tile-like material. I'm being stupid. It's not Litisilo. Pretty sure it's linoleum. I'm just having a brain fart, but... So I went with the idea of fleur-de-lis just because it was built next to Olympic, so I imagine it's probably not altogether a bad idea to assume that these little crew areas would have been fleur-de-lis. Went ahead and, implemented these. In photos, you can see there's a photo actually from around here that actually shows what I think is the second class. But, they had mahogany. It's a cheap wood. It's everywhere. On the museum, it's just bare steel. I promise you the first class entrance and second class entrance were not bare steel. In regards to this sign and clock, probably weren't here. There's no photos of this first class spot. There is, again, of the second class entrance vestibule. This was put here by Jet, because Jet really wanted it. We had a painting for a while, but I said no to the painting. Same thing with these areas. Made educated guesses based off of what was built with Harlan and Wolf for the design of the furniture, fleur-de-lis pattern, things like that. You've got your heater, your chair, stuff like that. Oh gosh. Same thing, mahogany. This isn't bare steel. There is mahogany all over. This area, the lights are not guesswork. I was fortunate enough to there be photos for me to look at. Same thing with the floor here, not guesswork. It is blue and white. Oh my gosh, I'm colorblind. It is blue and red and yellow. It's just the dining room tiles on Olympic and Titanic. Because again, the ship was built next to Olympic, so it's going to have the same things as Titanic and Olympic did. Not to mention, there is, again, another photo from the 60s right around here, and it's a really cool photo. Excuse me. Inside these little entrance vestibules, I have Litisilo, because that actually is stated on the plans, that there's Litisilo. In here, this is a bit of a toss-up. There is several photos in this room that appear to show a different tile, and I haven't changed the tile in here. It looks like it's the same design as the dining saloon tiles, but it looks almost as if it's like a orangish red, more of a peach color. No, not a peach color. Not sure how to describe it, but it's like almost a maroon. It's a strange red color, and if you've seen the photo, you know what I'm talking about. But it looks like red and black tiles in here. I haven't made that change yet, mostly because I'm just not certain if it's a photo issue or if that's actually how it's supposed to be. In the bathrooms, I have the pool tiles, because on Olympic and her public bathrooms for first class, you had pool tiles, and I just feel like bone block represents the pattern the best, maybe not the color so much. Another thing with these walls, I highly doubt it would have been mahogany paneled like as in the women's room. A more likely design is how it looks on the outside, or how I have it for the men's room, probably more like this anyways, but I don't know why I have it like that. Goodness, I'm a little sick. Excuse me. As for the enclosed bar, we know for a fact, 1911, Nomadic had a closed bar. And not to mention, you can even see in some 1960s photos, she still has what appears to be a closed bar. So at some point, probably when she was a restaurant, they opened the bar up. Which I guess that makes sense. I mean, for what was going on. You know, you have your luggage table, nothing really too significant about these rooms. I have the mahogany trim around the wall, because you can see that in photos that there's a mahogany trim around these gates. However, I don't think that there actually was gates. No, I think there is. I'm speaking out of turn. Now, as for why I have this in here, I kind of subscribe to the theory that, oh my gosh, my cat. May, cut it out, buddy. Cat cameo. Anyhow, I subscribe to the theory that the spaces would have been corresponding with tiles, like in the way that they were set up on Olympic and Titanic. I think that makes sense to me. This was definitely a designated second-class space down here as well, but it could double for first class. Very rarely did it do that. Here's an example of a finished second-class space. For some reason, I had the will to build the lower area, which I went ahead and did. It has different benches. It has these maroon mahogany. Excuse me, not mahogany. Well, I mean, it is mahogany, but it does have the maroon color instead of the green that you see in first class. You've got this back wall, which is essentially in a giant cabinet, which this area was built. And then we'll get over to that in a moment. But yeah, I subscribe to the theory that it is different tiles depending on class. So for example, you know, third class bathroom, you have the cream and black tile like you see on Titanic in third class bathrooms and in like the firemen's areas, like for Notorious around those spiral stairs. The third class area, it just says is plain linoleum, and with the help of Titanic Project MC, or Landon as you guys might know him, we kind of went and combed through our photo archives and postcards, and plain linoleum has this sort of color. I originally had white, and for a while there we had green and white alternating fleur-de-lis, which that was very wrong, but I did like it. Anyhow, I'm pretty confident in this floor. Probably looked like this. Again, on Nomadic, they have, on present modern day Nomadic, they have a lot of things wrong, and for some reason they have painted this bare steel in here to look like lit a silo. You know, they changed the flooring all throughout the ship, because during the renovation, I really don't know what was going through their head. Obviously, the ship they got a hold of in the early 2000s looked nothing at all like Nomadic. And they did do a good job in many respects in actually getting her back to her former glory, but some places, like for example the first class, how they just dropped the ball so heavily with the color of the tiles. I really don't know where they got that idea. I mean, they got a hold of that saturated water damage tile, but I don't know how they thought that was a good indication for what it looked like in 1911. As you can see though, there's still a lot of spaces not done, especially for the public areas, and a lot of spaces are, you know, kind of biting the bullet, especially like these lower areas. And that's just limitation from Minecraft. Moving along, you know, like I said, second class vestibule also has mahogany, built that. The engine spaces we'll get to in a moment. I didn't really build these, and there is a photo of them, and I will try to explain the changes made to the best of my ability, but again, it wasn't really built by me. This is the galley. I have the galley tiles because, you know, it is a galley, so I went with what they have. And the pipes and whatnot are connected to the freshwater tanks above, which you can see those in photos. I don't know if plans really show those very well. With the boiler room, I did build. This was a lot of educated guesswork, especially in regards to the scaffolding, because there's no examples of Olympics scaffolding. But in terms of the color, I went with the White Star Line color scheme found on Olympic. There might be some changes. For example, these exterior walls might not actually have the chocolate dado. The boilers are two Scotch boilers. They do have working interiors, and I went ahead and built them. There probably wasn't a watertight door that actually led to the engine room. That has been a very scrutinized area for me and Jet. We have been looking on and on and on to try and see, well, maybe it does have a door, maybe it doesn't. The problem is there's not enough room in the center. And what's weirdly odd that keenly points to there being a door is that there's enough space on the right side facing aft, because it's definitely shown in plans that there's a wider gap here, and none to mention on traffic there is a watertight door, I believe, in the exact same space, but for some reason Nomadic doesn't show it on plans, and it just doesn't quite add up. So, you know, that's pretty much the boiler room. You know, you've seen a boiler room, you've seen them all. They're not really something to write home about. The scaffolding, again, is just kind of my own guesswork, and it is probably wrong. But also another thing I see on a lot of Nomadics is the ladders go all the way up, but in reality, there's actually, you know, just a door right here. The scaffolding didn't go all the way up. There's no hatches, and that makes sense because there's actually two vents right along here that go down into the ship, so there probably wouldn't be room for a ladder, unlike Titanic's Fiddlies. The engine room. This was a little less guesswork because a photo does exist from around here. You can see the scaffolding, you can see the engines. It would have been a tight fit, probably not this type, but this only occurred obviously because of Minecraft limitations. You know, when you build things in 1 foot increments in 3:1, it's obviously gonna sacrifice a lot of space. This engine space is brilliantly detailed and built by Jet. We did a lot to try and get this as accurate as we could. There is actually some really good traffic plans that are some originals that excellently detail traffic's plans and lay those out. So this is more or less, for certain, very similar to how traffic is set up, barring in mind a few exceptions, for example, 2 boilers and anything that is in conjunction with that. I don't know if that is a mistake or not. There's a coal block float. Nope, it's not a mistake. Okay. You know, the propeller shafts leading into the propeller crank room, which we actually have closed off because some 3:1 limitations actually ended up sacrificing that part of the room. The ceiling is way too low. It should not be this low in here. If the world ever gets held out, if I ever put it up for download, you guys will be able to see this little sign, little Easter egg. And again, we do actually have the correct bottom, double bottom right here and regular bottom throughout the ship, because we are trying to get it as anchored as we can. But this room was really fun to get put in the ship, because I really didn't build this. Jet did it, and I think he did a great job. Lots of research went into it and his expertise. Other than that, minus all these spaces, I really feel like all that's left. Oh, right, duh. We also built this area, which the bowl of the stern, which it looks like it is left red. There is also another photo right around here that shows it is just the primer paint that they used on White Star Line ships, or the Harlan Wolf, I suppose. And whether or not it actually was white, I don't know, but it shows red, so we have it as red, and we're probably going to end up making the other crew areas like that red as well. For example, like in the bow, There is like the chain locker and rooms like that, which we'll probably leave as just red primer. Jet is really being a proprietor for that theory, and I'm not necessarily on board with it, but I'm not opposed. So like for example, with this crew area, we have it also built in similar fashion to Titanic. You know, mahogany everywhere because that's a cheap wood. It's strong. The bathroom, same thing. This is a crew area, so it's got those alternating tiles. Toilets, which it just looks like they have a really nasty bathroom space. You have the other forward areas and the cargo hold, which hasn't been built yet, which is really interesting how it has a porthole into the cargo hold. But yeah, other than that, I don't suppose that I have much else built. You know, that is the extent of my interiors. Oh yeah, another thing. On modern day Museum Nomadic, for some reason this little storage area has a door carved into it. Like you can literally see the door is just cut into the steel wall. Which I don't think would be the case, because I actually think that this is a watertight compartment. And that can be confirmed really quickly with the check of a the check of a plan. And yes, this is in fact a watertight bulkhead. This is watertight bulkhead number 1, I think. Oh, well, it doesn't specify, but this is in fact a watertight bulkhead, this wall right here. So there definitely, objectively, is not a hole in it. There's not a door right here, so... and again, also, why would that be there in the first place? Because there's a little ladder at the very front of the ship. You can see its hatch that leads to it. It's about the size of a man. It's very small. But all in all... Oh, I'm about to die. Ah! Okay. I'm dying. Anyhow, all in all, the interior is just about done, and the project as a whole is about done. Exterior has been done for a while, but I've been procrastinating doing other things, obviously. You know, that was just something I thought would be fun to do as a video. Again, probably not going to make it public. I just wanted to talk about some of the things that I chose to do. Mostly because I get some of the same comments over and over again whenever I show this ship off in regards to floors, tiling, things like that, just design choice in general. I promise you, if you're watching this, I may have sent it to you. I promise you, I made these choices and design on purpose because I've had a really fortunate amount of people be so kind to give me reference photos, plans, things of that nature. So I feel very confident in the decisions I've made regarding this ship. So when I say something that might seem out of pocket, I would like to think that it's not, but it's just new information. Again, I didn't discover it, I've just come upon it by fortunate circumstances. But all in all, I hope you guys enjoyed this little private video, I suppose, and I will catch you guys on the flippity flip. Wait, on the flippity flip, on the flippity flop, on the flippity